After hearing about it for well over 25 years in the back of magazines, you gotta check out Macross Plus. It has the best animation of all the animes. Finally got my hands on Macross Plus. Now, this is actually the art book for the Ultimate Edition, a Crunchyroll exclusive on Blu-ray. This is a package that knows that you are into the physical media in 2024. You get some quality art prints. You have a massive art book that I think might actually be the final boss on all art book included packages, because the book alone looks like it's worth it. What featurettes you might have missed on the disc are presented in the art book. I would have actually maybe preferred a separate steelbook or clamshell of some kind, because look at this. By sticking the discs in the book cover, they're not exactly easy to remove, but they're secure. A little too secure. Now, this being an impressive physical release from Crunchyroll Store, some people have had problems with their art getting a little dinged up. I know that the corners on my book could have been in better shape, but what's with this big gash right here too? I mean, there's some people who could probably be pretty upset about that, right? Now, here's the thing about Macross Plus. It is an OVA. There's also a movie edition on here, but screw that shit. You want to watch the 4-part OVA, it's about 2.5 hours long, and it features an English dub that is in lossless stereo. More on that later. Animation-wise, I don't think Macross Plus lives up to the hype. I had been hearing about this for going on 30 years, and it's very good. It's very good for an OVA, but it is not quite to the spec of, well, obviously Akira, everybody, you know, a Hayao Miyazaki film. Did this need to be in 4K? Probably not, but high dynamic range would have helped. There's a lot of those cool exposed lighting explosions, you know, of days gone back, traditional animation anime that I think would have really popped. So set in the Macross universe of sorts, where from my understanding of it, 1985, there's this cartoon series called Robotech. It's actually English language version of Macross. All you need to know really going in is that at some point there was a giant spaceship that crash landed on Earth, and we built a city around it and harvested its technology. So sometime later, we're out on other planets. We've got these guys, Isamu and Gold, and their friend Mi-young. They have a falling out, but are reunited when fighter pilots Isamu and Gold head to the planet of Eden, where they have to test new fighter jets. Isamu's got the more traditional F-14 style jet, whereas Gold's is brainwave piloted experimental stuff. Just so happens that the #1 pop star in the galaxy, Sharon Apple, who is AI, yes, this is actually from 94 and 95 when they released these, and we had an AI pop star. That has got to be around the corner. Well, their producer is their old pal Mi-young. And so we get strong Top Gun, but with more of a love triangle vibe, set in an established anime universe. Isamu and Gold are very competitive, but their project gets canceled when it turns out an Earth-based company beats them to the punch. Meanwhile, Sharon Apple has her own designs, wanting to take over humanity as a rogue AI. And so Isamu steals his experimental jet, heads to Earth, and halves it out with Sharon Apple. But Gold is in tow, realizes that the reason for their falling out was actually maybe he tried to sexually assault Mi-young, but he doesn't want to remember it that way. So it's one of those things where it's like, I traumatized myself into not remembering what I did. Don't worry, I'm going to take one for the team, self-sacrifice, take out the experimental jet that beat our programs, leaving Isamu and Mi-young to take down Sharon Apple and save the world, but you know, kind of fly off in the distance. Now, there are some controversies regarding episode 4. I'm not sure if I watched the Bryan Cranston version. Yes, Bryan Cranston, when he was but a mere dentist on Seinfeld, was doing anime VO work. He was Fei Long in the Street Fighter movie. He's Isamu here, except in episode 4, where I think there was a rights issue by the time they were doing the English dub, and you actually have 2 different versions of episode 4 here. So one of them on here, I think it's the one that has the original voice, or did they mix the original voice in with the appropriate music? Sometimes these outfits do this stuff when they're making one of these releases. Either way, I honestly couldn't tell if I was listening to Bryan Cranston or David Hayter. They did a good job here. Now, this does feature a soundtrack from Yoko Kanno, who you may best know as the composer of all the stuff in Cowboy Bebop. Not necessarily her best work. Some of the lyrics are a little but it is very mid-90s, and it is kind of oddly refreshing to see this film that takes place in the future, though not all too distant from now, really, with the mid-90s techno sound, but I'm loving it. But if you hit play all and you watch it lined up in the best preserved version, you get to episode 4, you got one song that stands out as pretty bad, and that is not a Yoko Kanno one, so yeah, that's the way it was in English. So I guess the idea was to honor the English release of the time that got the gimped music, but all told, I'm pretty satisfied with Macross Plus, and I am glad I have it in my collection.
If you appreciate a YouTube channel that doesn't just pad out content to get to the 8-minute mark so that it can hammer you with ad breaks, then you should subscribe to my son's channel. You just got done watching it.